Welcome back to the Fierce and Pharaoh podcast. I am your host, the Free Spirit Barbie, and today we have, I think we're just now a co-host at this point? My wife, Kirsten Scott. Hi.
Co-badass.
Co-badass. Well, that's cool, because I'm sure you're just going to be here for all the things now, because we're incredibly entertaining, apparently, and I love that for us.
Yes.
But today we're going to talk about a very... I think it's just really a topic that not a lot of people talk about it in general, and because of just a lot of the shame that's held around it and the repercussions that happen when you talk about it in general, and that is sobriety.
And I also think a lot of people don't know that about us.
Yeah, they really don't. And there's reasons kind of for that, and we're going to chat about that a bit. And I mean, it's really interesting because it's one of those things when I tell our story to people, I'm always like, let's see, one of the things I wrote down, on my manifestation list for my perfect person was to be sober from drinking, and especially, and that was, just being, raised and around a lot of people like alcoholics and addicts and everything. But something that I've always really, truly admired about people who are in AA or pursue a life of being clean or sobriety is just the willingness and what's the word I'm looking for? Their pursuit of just self-improvement. And it really is connecting themselves and their spirituality and to learn just to be better. And I've just always admired that in people. And I decided that I wanted to have somebody that was like that. And then when we met, you were like our first conversation, you were like, hey, I've been sober 7 years. It's like the longest relationship I've ever had.
Yeah. 7 years now.
Now, yeah.
6 years.
6 years.
When we met.
Yeah, well, you told me 7 because you got me.
I thought it was 7. I was all jacked up.
Yeah, years kind of blended together. It's been an interesting last few years in general.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, where do you want to start when it comes to sobriety? Do you want to tell your story? Do you want to do anything like that, or do you just want to jump right into questions?
I mean, I think we can both tell our part in it, and then go to the questions.
I'll let you go ahead and start because I do have a podcast episode. Go ahead and I will reference it and put it in the show notes below, talking about my sobriety and a little bit like that, stuff like that too. So please feel free to go back and listen to me just chatting away. And that was around 100 days of being sober.
Yeah.
And now it's almost at 8 months. Woo woo. But I'll let you go ahead and just chat and we'll go back and forth on that.
Okay. So I quit drinking when I was 22 years old for the wrong reasons at the time, I would say. I did struggle and have issues, but I was told that I needed to stop. Not that I wanted to, not that I was making the decision. The decision was made for me. And it was difficult. I lied about it. I didn't tell people about it. I especially did not tell my friends because when you're 22 years old and partying with everyone.
You live in freaking Nevada.
Yeah, living in Nevada where it's a 24-hour state and partying's easy. I mean, realistically, we know how kids those age are. I knew deep down that my friends were not real friends, and as soon as they found out I wasn't drinking, then they would want nothing to do with me. So I faked it. Fake it till you make it. And I did that for probably...
Way too long.
Way too long.
It's impressive.
Yeah. I got really good at it. I'm still really good at it. People drink, and I'm the most drunk, you would think.
Seriously, you guys, any time we're like, wait, who's the one who's drunk right now? Or who's the one who's smoking and intoxicated? You're the one, you'll say and do the stupidest shit. It's just incredibly entertaining.
I do. I'm the most damaging, too. I'm the one that does all this stupid stuff and haven't... not a drop of alcohol involved. But you'd think it.
How long do you think you, faked it? Faking it to the extent of going out to parties and stuff and just, putting a Red Bull in a...
Yeah. Parties, bars, clubs.
That's a lot of Red Bulls.
That's a lot of Red Bulls. I thought I was going to die one night. They knew that I could drink, and I drank probably 7 Red Bulls, and I was laying in bed that night, and I'm like, I'm going to die. This is it.
Okay, for people who are listening, she's a tiny person. You're not a large female.
I mean, I was probably, at the time, my drinking, I was probably about 160 and I'm 5'7", so I was bigger than I am now, but it was a lot. I went from a lot of drinking to a lot of Red Bull.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, we have to do what we need to do to survive, and I don't blame you for like nobody really even knew that I'm sober. Like nobody really knows that I'm sober. People are like, "Oh wait, what? Huh?" Yeah. Like, because heaven forbid, the meditation teacher and positive psychology, all the things, has problems or issues that they struggle with, and like, yeah, I don't even bring it up to people most of the time just because it's just not worth the energy. Like the random questions that you get.
Yeah, which is wrong. We don't have a problem. We had a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are correcting said problem now, and it's like by doing that, like, I don't know, I hate like, oh, you have a problem, or oh, you are an alcoholic. Well, yes, but I'm an alcoholic in recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Like
yeah, it's even like just saying like you're an alcoholic or anything. It was hard for me to say it for a while. My sister really made me say it. I was so uncomfortable with it. But it was good uncomfortable. But yeah, people just assume like, oh my gosh, you're just out of control then. Which for me, when I see or hear people when they say I'm sober and stuff, I never see it as they have a problem. They definitely had one, but they're actively working to be better.
Yes.
It's like they're overcoming. And it's an admirable trait that I admire so much. And honestly, you and your mom are the first people I've met who've been able to keep their sobriety. I've never met some people who actually keep them, because eventually it gets to the whole, you've been sober so long, people are like, well, I mean, I never really had a problem. I was just emotionally unstable. I can drink here and there, and then they go on a whole rant.
Yes. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, and I mean, that never goes away. Like, you're always wondering, like, did I have a problem?
Yeah.
Did somebody tell me I have a problem? Like, what would it be like now? How's it going to be? I mean, we know this. Like, I struggled when I first moved out here. Like, living in Florida on the beach where it's tourists and there's nothing but bars. And the only way to meet people, like friends, coworkers, is to go out to a bar. Like,
drink on the beach.
Exactly. Like, we are surrounded by it, so... I mean, that's always a question, but what it comes down to is it's a gamble. Like, and I'm from Nevada, so gambling, that's a thing, right? And that's what it comes down to. Like, yes, maybe you did not have a problem at that time. Maybe people thought you had a problem, maybe people didn't think you had a problem, but like, how much are you willing to bet on if it was or wasn't a problem?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, me, not so much. I would be in a ditch, probably dead. Like, we talked about how small I am. Like, even 160 pounds back then, I could drink a handle of alcohol in one night.
Poor little body.
Yeah.
You got no business. Like, I mean, honestly, that's when I found out, like, I really realized I had a problem.
Yeah.
Is when I realized I could drink so much and still pretty much function the next day.
Oh yeah, I was drunk the next day, just going to work. Like, still drunk. Yeah.
Something I don't think I've ever really even asked you this is, did you go through all the steps with AA?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I'm a dry drunk. That's what they call it.
A dry drunk?
A dry drunk. Mm. So that an AA term, like, because AA, they want you to follow all the steps, right. Go by the big blue book, and I did not do that. I mean, I ideally, I was so young, it probably would have helped me if I did, and especially because I had like the support to go through all of it, but I also had the lifestyle. That's a lot of time and commitment to an AA sponsor, to all these steps, to all of these things that realistically I did not have at the time. So I still went to AA meetings, but...
Which is great.
Yeah, but, dry drunk is the term. Like, when you're sober and you're getting through all of it, but you're not following the exact steps, not to mention, AA as a whole is very religiously backed, and I am not.
That's the main reason that I just never felt super connected to any of it.
Yeah.
Last year I had one of those hyper obsessive modes of wanting to go understand the biology of addiction, the cognitive function behind addiction, the gosh, my brain's just not working today. But the neuroscience behind why and how and what progresses and what happens. And I thought I was, kind of hoping, even understanding addiction on just such a more deeper level, not just from a psychology standpoint, but from a science standpoint. I was hoping I would get even more maybe some empathy and feel more compassion towards people who are addicts. And it had the opposite effect for some reason. And I have, from anybody who listens to my podcast here in the past, if you're new, hi, also, didn't say hi before, but I have zero, I grew up hating. And so the reason I really wanted to go into criminal justice was to put idiots behind bars, usually it was drug addicts and stuff like that, and holding people accountable for their actions. And I keep attracting, I noticed last year, self-awareness tactic, that I just kept attracting addicts into my life because I thought that's all I deserved and that's all I knew.
Yeah.
And I realized I was worthy of more and I wanted to be more. And then you just nonchalantly walked into my life, which was pretty cool. But when it came to AA and all of that stuff and Al-Anon, because I, attended those meetings a few times actually last year, it was the religious part that just made me feel so disconnected.
Yes, we've had these conversations before,
it's definitely not bad. I don't shame anybody for doing it, you guys.
No, and it's not bad, it's just, it's so hard because...
It's our doorbell.
It is our doorbell. Because, if we changed a couple of words, it's really no different than what we do believe in,
Oh, absolutely.
If we,
in a spiritual sense.
Yes.
In a healing sense.
That's exactly. If we change a couple words, we are no different. We see the same things. But my biggest thing, especially with religious things, I don't want anything shoved down my throat.
And that's the biggest thing too, is there's nothing wrong with, if the religious stuff works for people, that's great, that's cool. We're not judging you for that at all. But yeah, I just... Especially with AA and going to my first AA meeting and how nerve-wracking that can be. I was terrified. I was excited.
Yeah.
But I was terrified. Luckily, I went when knowing somebody, you there to support. But there's also something kind of freeing about going somewhere and sitting somewhere just to listen where nobody knows you.
Yeah, of course.
That's just, something I found really, really helpful. So... Yeah, when did you know you had a problem?
Well, I didn't think I had a problem.
That's true.
I thought I was a 22-year-old living my best life. For
the last 10 years.
Yeah. I was getting into more fights. I was causing more issues. I broke my hand the last night that I drank.
And it escalated, yeah.
Yes. I had also, that was a 2-week mark. So I had already been talked to about my drinking and was going to stop drinking, and it lasted about 2 weeks. And then I went on a bender. Actually, I threw a party. And thought it was bullshit. If everybody else gets to drink, why can't I? And so I drank and got in trouble.
Yeah, and you fighting while drinking is a big thing because you're, from what I hear and from what I've heard, you're a very happy drunk.
I was. Most of my fights were for good reason. If there is a good reason. It wasn't I was just picking random fights. I wasn't a nuisance. It was all I did not want my friends to drive, and they wanted their keys, and so that would escalate. That would escalate.
Yeah.
It was always things like that.
Your energy just in general really reflects things back at people, which ignites a lot of anger and insecurities in them. It's literally how your energy is designed.
Yeah.
So yeah, fights with drunk people.
Yeah, I did all of that. And I remember calling my mom it was like 3 or 4 in the morning, and I was sitting in the ditch. Like, it doesn't.
That's the rock bottom.
That's the rock bottom.
There's the rock bottom.
3 o'clock in the morning, in a ditch, like calling her, telling her I probably do have a problem, and the people around me are probably right. And then she had actually told me to videotape myself in that moment.
Oh wow!
Like videotape yourself, like so that you can look back. And this was a mistake that I made. So you can look back and see how that moment felt. So anytime you think about drinking, like you look back on this video, you see that exact moment, like what your face looked like, all these things. Well, I did not do that. And because I did not do that, I was so much more destructive in my path of staying sober. Like, instead of being able to look back on that video and see the pain that I was in, my brain went to, if I break my hand that I broke that night, I'll feel the pain that I was in and I won't drink again.
Trying to relive like that whole thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
so instead of like pulling out that video and watching that, my brain went to hit anything you can to re-break that hand to keep you from drinking.
Instead of igniting the emotional pain from rewatching the video and like connecting to it that way, you were trying to do it in the physical realm.
Yes, because I didn't have
the physical pain, not the emotional pain.
Yeah, I didn't have that emotional pain. That was
what
gone.
A caveman approach.
Yeah,
like, it was caveman barbaric approach. But yeah, I mean, people use pain to cope all the time, especially when they feel super incredibly disconnected from themselves and their body, and they use pain as a way to reconnect with their body and feel something.
Yes.
To help remember. Like, we hold a lot of
tattoos.
Yeah, exactly. Tattoos. People tend to get a lot of tattoos because they're trying to find a way to reconnect.
Yes.
That with themselves. It's like why people go through big, traumatic events or major growth periods, and they end up getting tattoos or dyeing their hair or doing something big and drastic as a attempt. But yeah, using pain to cope it's not abnormal.
No.
It's a pretty natural, not healthy, but not normal or abnormal at all. I mean, I had a cutting issue or self-harm issue when I was younger. And anytime women come to tell me that, they had a cutting issue or a self-harm issue when they were growing up or younger, they always kind of talk quieter and they're shameful to even say it. And then they're like, but it wasn't that bad. It was just like little, they feel like they have to explain their coping. And something, at least here, I really try to grow is the space, the safety, the community for people to realize that it doesn't matter what you did. What you did to survive, it's the fact that you survived in general.
Yeah, of course.
And that was like a major, huge thing, is you have to start to let go of the shame that you're holding on yourself.
Yeah.
And to acknowledge you even have a problem.
Yeah. I mean, and that's in itself is, I guess, the hardest thing. Like, nobody wants to be like, yeah,
I'm an alcoholic.
Have a problem. Like, everyone's like,
first time I said,
so-and-so's worse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, I can name 5 people that drink more than I do, so I do not have a problem.
Yes. But those, and it's so funny because, okay, great. You have 5 people that drink more than you do. Are their actions the same as yours?
Nothing is an even exchange.
No.
And it really comes down to it's the why.
Yeah.
It's like you have to be doing doing it for the right reasons. The why. For me, I quit drinking. It's like I feel like I have hit rock bottom many a times, but my why was me realizing I was using it as an unhealthy way to cope.
Yeah.
As a way to escape.
Yeah.
And escaping vulnerability with myself, escaping the shame and the fear and all that jazz, also completely disconnects and numbs the potential for connection, growth, love. And when I realized I was using alcohol to escape, when I feel like I need anything, like I have been so traumatized that I want to be so incredibly independent that even when I have to need caffeine, I just am so incredibly uncomfortable. But yeah. And so when I realized, I found myself saying I needed something, like I needed a drink. And then I asked myself why.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I don't want that fear. And honestly, the fear of I love that. One of my favorite things about you being sober is the fact that I don't have to have that fear of the unknown. Just growing up around the people, growing up and even in past relationships, when somebody's drinking, you just never know how they're going to respond to anything. You don't know if there's going to be a fight, if there's going to be a blow up, if there's going to be just something that comes out of nowhere. And that fear, when people are drinking, it's like they grab that drink and they drink it. That fear that I always had to live in, I hate. And finally realized I deserve to not have to live in that fear. And I don't have to live in that fear with you, like ever.
Yeah, this is true.
You're so incredibly unpredictable as it is.
Yeah.
I never know what I'm going to get.
Valid.
Freaking personality I'm going to get. It's
yes.
The British woman that pops up to ask a question.
Yes.
So, yeah, well, and we have a few questions that some of our beautiful listeners popped in. This one's a really great one. And it really kind of comes down to what we were just talking about too, but when do you give up trying for someone else's sobriety when they don't see they have an issue?
Okay. So, this is a good one.
Yeah.
And what it comes down to is nobody is going to get sober off drugs, with alcohol, anything like that, because they are told to.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
Obviously hasn't worked with go get a vaccine.
Well, yeah. And not only that, even if it did work and they listened to you and you somehow made it to where they agreed, it wasn't initially their want or even idea. So realistically, you're never going to be able to force somebody to get sober. You're never going to be able to talk them into it. They have to want it for themselves.
You can't want things for other people.
Yeah, and...
You can't will it.
Yes. And with me, that was a big struggle. I did not do it for myself, probably for the first few years. At no point was it for me. And then I struggled with that afterwards. You start to build resentment. Mm-hmm. With people, with...
so much resentment can happen, yeah.
Yeah, even with yourself. It wasn't me that wanted to do it in the first place. It was me being told, and it took, almost that much more work to now stay sober and make it what I wanted. Mm-hmm. Instead of just wanting it in the first place and being able to work the steps because that's what I want. Or not even, I didn't work the steps. I shouldn't even say it that way. Going through the motions of staying sober with me not being the one that wanted it. So now I am trying to teach myself, this is what I want. I am doing this for me. It's not that person that's telling me not to drink every single second of every single day. That's still me. Mm-hmm. So it's hard. It is hard.
It is so hard.
You want to help your loved ones, and I'm not telling anybody not to help their loved ones, of course, but
the best thing you can do, the best thing you can do is just not enable them.
Yeah, really. And hold them accountable, and they say misery needs company. Misery needs company, so people, without even knowing it, you ask them for $20, because you spent all your rent money on alcohol. You ask them to, and people just do it because they're helping you. They think that they're helping you, but they're not helping you.
No. Drinking's so expensive.
Oh my God, it's so expensive. Like, we've like looked even at my credit, and it's still finally falling off from my drinking problem. Like all the bad stuff.
It's just so expensive. Like I can't, and it's such a socially acceptable thing to like spend money on. It's like totally easy to go blow $150 at a bar.
Yeah.
One night.
But it's such a, like, it's so hard to buy 2 pairs of pants for $150.
I know. Yeah, it is. It's like, it's the anchor and the value behind it for sure. Like, one of my sober wins is just the fact that we're now regulars at a home improvement store. Like, we go into Lowe's and people know exactly who we are since we completely, like, renovated the house as we were moving in. And I was like, what a freaking win. Like, we're regulars at a home improvement store and not a bar. Yeah. Love that for us.
We have so much time that we're not waking up hungover. So
much time. I would say the biggest, like, one of the struggles that I didn't realize I was going to have was, like, dropping weight significantly fast.
Yes.
Like, people were wondering what else was going on.
Yes.
And we were stressed out. There was a lot going on anyways. But you lose so much weight when you stop drinking. Guys, drinking makes you so fat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much inflammation, too.
Yeah. And yeah, it's true. Like I said, 160 back then. Like, I'm lucky if I break 140 now.
Yeah, and
trying.
Like, you saw even with me in the last, 9 months.
Yes.
Like how
yeah,
there's a major difference.
Yeah.
Just even trying to keep weight on. It's so crazy.
Yes.
But yeah, that was a great question. Another one was dealing with addiction without transferring to another addiction, which is pretty normal. It is normal. It's not uncommon at all.
It's
human behavior and habit shifting.
Yes. And it is what the new addiction is. Like, that could potentially be a problem, of course. Like, don't quit drinking and start smoking crack. Like, definitely don't do that. But your body goes through such quitting drinking alcohol, especially if you have a very severe alcohol addiction, that is, like they say, that is the hardest thing to quit. Like, it does the most damage. It is, like, for me, I did drop all of the weight super, super quick, but not only that, like, I was almost in sugar withdrawals.
Yeah, you were addicted to the sugar of all the rum.
Yes.
And all that stuff. Like, so going through the sugar, like, detox as well as the alcohol. And, yeah, like, your body, your mind, everything. Your body doesn't even know how to function.
Yeah, so you're putting yourself in shock. Like, we quit doing something instantly. And,
all the Skittles.
All the what?
Skittles.
Oh, Skittles, yes.
All the Skittles.
Yeah, Skittles, Red Bull. Like, I still drink energy drinks every day. Like, and so it's picking what the next addiction is. It's not necessarily like, it's not a bad thing to be addicted to reading books. Like, it's not a bad thing.
Just the word addiction just implies a lot of shame around whatever it is. It's just transferring your habits and refocusing your energy and investing it in somewhere else.
Yeah,
something else.
It's finding a vice.
A vice.
Finding a vice to help you cope through it.
Coping.
Which could be an action. It could be a food. It could be drinks. It could be, and that's not necessarily bad. It could be smoking. Like, there is nothing wrong with that. You need to handle one thing at a time. If you're a smoker and you quit drinking alcohol and you're smoking a little bit more or doing anything like that, that's fine. Deal with that later on. Like, I was taught, especially early on in the getting sober, like, those first 2 years are the most crucial. Like, Don't make any changes. Don't worry about the things that you are doing, like, that are so minute, when, like, drinks, food.
Yeah, and we know with habit shifting, the most long-term, creating long-lasting change is doing one thing at a time.
Yes.
So, yeah, trying to completely reflip your entire world upside down isn't gonna, like, it's not an all or nothing mindset when it comes to just kick all addictions.
Yes.
Take one thing at a time. And the coping device. Yeah.
Well, that's exactly. Yeah. Find a healthy addiction.
Yeah.
Like, I know that people are afraid of the word addiction. But
you have to free the shame around it, because you have to acknowledge it as something that you are overcoming and working with. If you constantly have just shame stuck to something that you're constantly working with every day, you're just going to grow more shame in your life.
Yes. Yeah, that is exactly. There's just
healthy ways to cope is one of the biggest. The biggest pieces of advice I could give somebody. And finding healthy ways to cope is, first, you're going to have to start understanding and become self-aware and take accountability for the ways that you currently are coping and how it's affecting the other people in your life. And then understanding why you cope in those ways and finding healthy alternatives. You have to start to understand who you are, and that's scary for a lot of people, which is why a lot of people run and fail in the process.
Well, it's not failing.
You're failing when you quit.
It's figuring it out.
You're never failing, you're figuring it out. But when you decide to quit and walk away, you fail to reach that success. You only fail once you decide to quit.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, because you're always, you were given 2 opportunities with everything you ever do. It's either the exact thing that you wanted, or it's the next, it's the next piece to the treasure trail to get exactly what you need. Yes. And as long as you keep showing up, at least, statistically less than 10 times, you do it again less than 10 times, you will succeed, as long as you are adapting to all the obstacles and learning the lessons from the things that you do. But the lack of self-awareness and willingness to take responsibility for their actions is the biggest hurdle I see. People will be like, yeah, I'm an alcoholic, I have issues, but the reason I drank is because of everybody else. Yeah. The reasons they have these actions is everyone else's fault, and they're not willing to take full responsibility. And it's hard to find healthy ways to cope when you can't acknowledge and take responsibility for the ways you are coping and the way they affect you and the people in your life and your universe. Things don't happen to you. They happen because of you are the cause of the effect. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was a lot that I just spit out. I
don't know where to come off of this.
Yeah, I go on my little rants all the time. I'm like, hey, thanks for coming for that side rant, and we just never know where we're gonna go. What would you say is the hardest part? Or what would you say even what's one piece of advice? Or you would want someone to know? Or all the above? I don't know.
I don't know, that is, don't do anything within the first 2 years. That's my first. Don't make any big changes. Don't make your vice energy drinks. They will give you kidney stones. Those are not fun.
Stay hydrated. Drink water, please.
Yeah.
Drink
water.
If
you can make your vice water, that's brilliant. Especially early on, every time you think about drinking, grab water. That's...
Drink. Your body needs it.
Yeah. Remove the people that... how do you say... I'm trying to say this, then, I guess the nicest way? I don't know. Get rid of all the bullshit people. You learn really fast who your friends are when you are making a decision like this. I was different because I lied to all of mine. And I
see people for who they are. They're going to show you who they are.
That's exactly.
See people for who they are.
And when you are bettering yourself, that is threatening to other people. No matter if they say it or not. You bettering yourself, they want you on their level. Yeah. And my biggest thing, people used to argue with me. And this is a whole nother side tangent. People would argue, friends that I had back then, people that I met, would argue, you didn't have a problem. Well, how do you fucking know I didn't have a problem?
Nobody knows you better than you know yourself.
Yeah.
Or people like to tell, people like to think they know you.
Yeah. And, so the biggest advice is, don't be, Don't be hurt. Be empowered when those people weed themselves out.
Yeah. It's exciting. I love when my follower count drops after a controversial post. That means all the idiots are getting out of Dodge.
Yeah.
And
if they're not on the same wavelength, you don't want them there in the first place.
Yeah, people who are at a lower vibration than you will do anything they can to bring you down to their vibrational level. So they'll remind you of the person that you used to be, just to make them feel better about the people they are now, like themselves now.
Oh, of course. I've heard all the cool stories of things I've done.
Oh, yeah, right? Even things you haven't
Years
done.
Years later.
It's just, it's absolutely ridiculous. I would say, I would say that it's exhausting to be sober. That is one thing you're gonna be exhausted, and you need to validate that, because even on days where you feel like you haven't done anything or you haven't accomplished anything, whatever, your ego gets swept up in what success really means. So if you haven't made a certain amount of money or you got enough attention for, men, whatever it is that you're attached to success for that day, not drinking is an achievement.
When it still took up energy.
And it takes up so much energy. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Like, you consistently trying to fight to stay sober, for your sobriety to grow, is an exhausting thing, and it takes up a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to validate you if you're struggling with that and you're tired. It's valid. You're not doing
Yeah, this is why. Yes. It is true. It does take up, no matter what, every day you're not drinking. And it's not even and you say it like that, I wake up every day and I just don't do it, right? Well, it still takes something in you. You have to tell yourself every single day not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you're just waking up and not thinking about it. Especially in a world. We watch Hulu, and every commercial that comes on our Hulu is some version of alcohol.
Yeah, these also always these bitches know we're alcoholics.
They're targeting us.
They're let's see if you really mean it.
Yeah. So yeah, it definitely does take up energy.
And it takes up energy, especially when you're at outings or at holidays. I imagine holidays are exhausting. But when people project their insecurities on you and ask a billion and a gajillion questions, because everyone wants to know the story. What's your problem? Did you have a problem?
Yeah. I'm do you really want to know the answer to that?
Yeah.
Because I promise you, you're going to feel shittier about yourself when I tell you.
Yeah.
Because realistically, I drink just like you are right now.
I know when I see a lot of people drinking, I don't even really like going out to bars as much anymore, just because it's just you're surrounded by what feels, it's energetically draining, but just people trying to escape their lives. And why are you building a life that you have to escape from?
Yeah.
And it makes me sad for people.
Yeah.
Maintaining sobriety requires support.
Oh, of course.
And you have to find those people. You have to weed out the shitty people. And you have to find those people, reaching out and finding those people to support you. And asking for help can be really, really difficult for a lot of people. Admitting you need help is really, really difficult for a lot of people. But your support system is really, really important. There's even online support groups. AA meetings are great. I thoroughly enjoy them. I would go to them more.
I know. I like them a lot too.
Yeah, the one here is great.
Yes.
The one that we found. It's just it's an incredible goal to just set to go to one, and then eventually setting goals to just go and say one thing, speak once, because it's an incredible part of your own growth and your own reflection to yourself, because you're allowing yourself to finally be heard. And it's really hard to deal with addiction when you feel so incredibly unheard in all aspects of your life and out of control. But I know it's something they talk a lot about, and the questions I get a lot are meditation. Meditation's really difficult. I know you didn't even meditate until, oh my gosh, the first retreat that we went to. That was the first time you meditated, really?
Yeah.
which then all of the manifestations started coming through because you're a witch. But meditation is something I know and I hear a lot about in like the AA and all that stuff, and people are like, I just don't know how to meditate, I'm doing it wrong. And that's really why I feel so called and pulled to just like make a little mini course or have a workshop when it comes to how to integrate meditation into your lifestyle, because it really is just about connecting with yourself and spending that time to understand yourself and grow strength in your brain so you can stay focused and do all the things. So if you want to focus on staying sober, it becomes easier and easier and easier.
Yeah. Because
you're mastering your brain and your mind and your energy. Just don't quit. Don't stop. You're not failing. You're figuring it out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Is that all the questions you had?
Yeah, so far that was just like a few hours ago. We kind of hopped, hey, look, 111. It's 111. Adorbs. Adorbs. Is there any other stories? Like, I mean, maintaining and support is the biggest thing that people always ask.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's why they have you get a sponsor.
The accountability is huge.
Yes. Holding people accountable, yes. I was very fortunate. Like, I had my mom.
Yes.
And
yeah, your mom being sober for what, 10 years now?
Yeah, 10 years.
Which is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't be alive if she didn't do it first, realistically.
It is really nice, I will say, to go to places and family events now, and like you're sober, but also so is your mom.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
I know, it was always nice because my mom and I could leave. Like, and just like when everyone was drinking, we just like, at least we had each other.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't.
Yeah, this is true. And that is difficult. It is hard being the only person in, you know, like you said earlier, it's you're sitting in a fear, you're wondering what's going to happen. Like, even me being sober, going out to the bars with my friends, like, what's gonna happen tonight? Like,
yeah, it's just the manager fear of the unknown. And I think it's so interesting how you trained yourself to just fake it.
Yeah.
To the point where extreme things happened.
Yeah.
Where you really just had to commit.
It was rather impressive.
You're an impressive individual, my love.
I know. Pretty impressive. Yes.
Heck, I don't even really remember the exact day. I remember the last time I drank was St. Patrick's Day, but I just remember like one day I was just like, I'm done drinking. And you were like, okay.
Yeah.
And at any point, I know if I would have drank, you wouldn't have shamed me for it or understood it. You would have asked me what I wanted.
Well, and I did clarify with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is your goal? Is your goal to quit drinking altogether because, like, it is becoming an issue, becoming a problem? It is a problem. It is an issue, or are you putting yourself in check? Mm-hmm. Was how I worded it. Because people do that. I know someone who every so often when he feels like he needs to, he will put himself in check and not drink for 365 days. You know,
that's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many different ways.
It's a self-awareness and self-mastery that comes behind being able to do stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. So by me understanding what your goal is, it makes it easier for me. Like, I've been doing this for 7 years, and I can't tell you how many times I have had people like come forward and ask me all these questions and want to be able to text me at all hours of the day because they want help in getting sober, but then Friday rolls around and they're out drinking with all their friends, which is fine, but tell me what your goal is. Do you want to stay sober Monday through Friday? Like, do you want to put yourself into check for 30 days? Like,
are you trying to sleep with me?
Are you trying to do that? Like, yeah, what is the goal? And by both of us, I mean, you and I being, like, when we both know the goal, we know how to help each other.
You gotta
support.
Stop lying to yourself. Be realistic.
Yeah.
With what your goals are and what you're actually trying to do and accomplish.
Yeah. I mean, and realistically, like, the scariest thing in the world is to say, I'm never going to do this one thing another day in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the hard, like, that's what we are going, like, that's what our goal is, right? But out of all the options, that's the scariest one.
Yeah, like, I mean, I totally have times where I'm like, I really miss just having like a cold, like hard cider. It's like I'm never gonna do those again. Like I'm never gonna have like those moments with sunset on the beach, drinking at the sunset.
Yeah, but why can't you drink water
and recreate those memories
on the beach?
I know, right? I know. It was like
yeah, but that's the thing. Like we are trained, especially like from a young age. Like you're waiting for the day that you turn 21 to be able to go out and drink with your friends and celebrate good things. Celebrate
legally. That's the day.
Yeah, legally. But that's what I'm saying. Like we, as a society, we drink when we're happy. We drink when we're excited. We drink when we're sad. Mm-hmm. We drink when our girlfriends cheat on us and we're angry. We drink for every emotion that a human being goes through. That is an okay reason.
It's societally acceptable
to drink. Yeah. Exactly. So, and I think that we had a conversation one time when I was like, explain to me what the difference is. Like, if we are in this exact same spot right now, and there was alcohol in your hand versus the Red Bull that you have in your hand right now, what would be different? Well, nothing. We'd be in the same exact spot with the same exact people. It's just how you look at it now. Like, you can tell yourself all day long, well, this sucks, I'm not drunk. Like, if I was drinking, I would be so much more fun. Well,
yeah. Why?
Yeah. Like, why is it that one thing that
takes the edge off,
that makes you more fun, that makes you all these things? Like, when I drank, I was a quiet human being, which I know is really hard for most people to believe. I was that quiet kid. I was the quiet teenager. Like, drinking was my excuse to be outgoing. Now, when I had to fake it and I was sober, like, I trained myself. Like, it doesn't matter where you are or what's in your hand. If you want to be that loud, fun person at the bar, be it. Who cares what's in your hand? Like, it makes no difference if there is any type of alcohol in your hand versus any type of water, juice, Red Bull, whatever it is. Like, be what you want to be. Do what you want to do. You're in the exact same spot, only there's one tiny thing different in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
What was it?
That was beautiful.
Thank you. My rant.
Yeah, you have to understand yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why? It's like, well, I can't go out there and dance on the dance floor because I'm not drinking. Well, why not? It's like, well, I don't have confidence. Okay, why not? It's like, why do you trust yourself more when you're drinking to just go out and do things?
Yeah.
Like, you have to start to ask yourself these questions.
Yeah. You don't magically have, like, it's not this juice that you drink and all of a sudden your little meter for your confidence goes boop, 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 all the way up. That's not how it works. Like, and that's exactly. When I was shithouse drunk, I didn't dance. I'm not a dancer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not. So when I was sober, I still wasn't a dancer. Like, but when I was drinking, I was loud, I was confident, I was all these things. Well, I was still those things when I was sober. I just thought, like, it's like you blame alcohol for everything. Well, you're also giving it that power by saying, oh, that's what made me like that. Well, no, you are like that.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. That's my other rant.
That's your other rant. Well, this was great. If you guys have any other questions or want us to talk about any other things, especially with topics like this, we would absolutely love that. Again, please go ahead. I would love if you could go ahead and leave us a review so we can get out to more people. Share this with your friends. Come say hi to us on Instagram. I'm the _Barbie. Yours is just...
Go ahead, try.
What is yours? X_K_Scotty with some numbers?
Yeah, 72, because that's the Harley I ride.
Nice.
That's why.
That just made you sound so cool.
I am so cool. I've been wearing sunglasses this entire time. That's how cool. My future is so bright. I wear my sunglasses during podcasts.
I'm going to put that as the preview.
You should.
was beautiful. That was beautiful. I love that so much. Fuck, I should have that. I should have recorded that on my phone. That's beautiful. Well, please message us anytime. We actually we have a community meeting called Grounded for Growth for female entrepreneurs just looking to like co-work and sit and hang out together. Kirsten and I are both on those calls every other Friday. If you want more information on that, it's a completely free group and community where we get on and just have like-minded other badass CEO sisterhood kind of tribe thing that we hang out and talk and have business building discussions and just come hang out with other people who just get what the struggle is and also want to grow with you. Just a bunch of really cool people. Last week was really fun.
Yeah, there was like 8 people that showed up.
It was so great. And there was a lot more people who wanted to come who couldn't. So it's just going to be a community that grows. And it's completely free. Please check it out. We'll have it in the show notes below. Otherwise, it's freespiritbarbie.com/co-working. Oh, that made me sound so fancy. Love that. Ooh. So please go ahead, shoot these to your friends, family, share it. If you screenshot and share this and tag either of us on Instagram in it as well, you'll get extra drawing for one of the freebies that we constantly have going out, all the things. But also we just want to connect with you. We want to know who's listening to us. I'm really curious.
Yeah, I like the questions too that we get.
Yeah, the questions are fun. We'll definitely do more of those.
Yeah.
But like always, we'll talk to you guys soon. Go drink some water, protect your energy, all the big bad things. And we'll talk next time.